jumping out of helicopters, swimming with sharks. They're like, they can kill you. River monster, deep in the Peruvian.
All right, Mario, thank you so much for being here, man. I appreciate it. All the way from Australia. Now, you had something going on in Key West, though, right?
Yeah, I mean, I live in Miami,
nice.
Florida, okay. But obviously you can tell by my accent, I'm not 100% American. I'm more kangaroo than anything, so.
That's it, man. So let me go ahead and go over a brief description. So
Sure.
Grew up in Sydney, Australia.
Yeah.
Love Sydney too, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
I did 2 seminars out there. They're great people. Started your career cooking alongside prominent chefs, owned and operated several acclaimed restaurants. Mm-hmm. The Old Library, mm-hmm. garnering various awards such as, excuse me if I'm saying this wrong, the Zagat
Awards.
Award,
yeah.
Yep, and the second place Bell Awards.
Yeah.
Right? You transitioned though from urban restaurateur
mm-hmm. to
rural adventurer, right?
Exactly.
Moving to New Zealand, that's pretty cool, right?
Yeah.
And then opening up your own extreme adventure lodge, work with professional hunting and fishing guides. I've seen some videos with you, man, like, I'm ready to get out there. Like, I want to get out there, right?
Yeah.
Creator and host of the TV series Man Eats Wild. I know you guys have probably watched that before. Showcases his adventures around the globe. And you got some new things in the works too as well, right? We'll talk about that in a little bit. All right, so again, you're proficient in hunting, fishing, outdoor survival, and again, you're a great chef. Which, like I told him before we started, I said, man, you probably got the best job in the world. Like,
it's pretty good.
You know, it's something that a lot of people strive for, you know, and would wish to do. So how did this all start, man? I know you obviously grew up in Sydney, but give me like the background story.
Yeah, man, like, I mean, honestly, I look back at like my life and stuff and I think it all makes sense now because when I was like 3 or 4 years old, we grew up on a farm and we were pretty poor. Like, you know, we didn't have a lot of money. Both my parents were young when they had me. So we grew up on a ranch in Western Sydney. My dad was a pig farmer, and we had like agriculture and orchards. So we had strawberries and figs and citrus and 4,000 pigs. That, you know, so it was a lot of work. So I was ingrained in food and the land from a very young age. My dad, you know, we used to have rifles and stuff hanging around as, you know, we were shooting and gathering food. So it really was something that I was born into. And then, you know, later on in my life, my parents had split. So I sort of left that world and went into the city. So I had, you know, 2 sort of sides. Now I was like still interested in food, but I got, you know, sort of this behind the scenes in the restaurants and the bars and stuff like that. So both those worlds mixed up, but the whole time I've been a huge fan of hunting and fishing and adventure, and that's from my younger days. So I was always going out, you know, in the middle of the craziest places on the planet in search of, you know, the freshest wild game and, you know, crazy hunting adventures. And, you know, I just love the idea of like man versus beast, you know what I mean? Like, how can I catch the biggest thing that's gonna just smash me, you know? Like, I love that challenge, like, you know, and it's just, I think it's a part of genetics, man. Like, we've been doing this stuff for 250,000 years.
True, yeah.
So that's really how it started. You know, my grandpa was a big part of my life. He was a world famous chef who had cooked for the Queen and JFK and a lot of big name people. So he inspired me to open up my own restaurants and do a lot of consulting for other big restaurants. So I had a good stretch of being in the food industry. That burnt me out, and then I was like, you know what, I want to do what I love. So I gave it all up, left Australia, and became an outdoor adventure guide for really high net worth people. It's to take really wealthy guys out on adventures that were crazy. Jumping out of helicopters, swimming with sharks, stuff that they could never do on their own. I would guide them through, you know, that primal instinct of being a man, being a hunter-gatherer, and really helping them push beyond this, you know, boardroom that they're used to being in. And I just noticed that these guys were getting a lot out of it, man. They were like, dude, you're taking me on things that I've only dreamed of doing. And these are guys that have done everything, man. They've done it all. Like, So
well, they feel alive, man. You know,
Yeah.
taking them out of that world, like you said, you got burnt out with being a chef and cooking nonstop, and obviously you still cook. You probably did cook while you were doing that,
right.
but it's just the everyday process. Getting that fresh new look and doing something adventurous, something that they think that they wouldn't been able to do.
Yeah.
And you're giving them that access, you're giving them that ability. That's tremendous for them, but also for you, I would imagine.
For sure, man. Like, you know, I think we've lost that a bit as men, as not men and women. Like, we live in a world now, we're boxed in by technology, concrete walls, synthetic light, fashion, materials. This is all shit, man. Let's face it. What does it mean? It means nothing.
Yeah.
It's fucking bullshit.
Yeah.
Like, and, you know, if you really want to feel alive, you know, in my opinion, you have to throw yourself into situations of discomfort, out in nature, challenge yourself as a person, man. And that's what I do. Like, I'm constantly in a state of a little bit of fear because, you know, and when I go through that, I feel like a better man. I'm like, wow, I did that myself, man.
Yeah, there's a sense of accomplishment,
right.
for sure. Yeah.
So that's what I was taking these guys out and do. I was making them, I was getting them outside of that comfort zone of having a whole army of people to do what they wanted. Like, go do this for me, go do that. I got all the cash. I'm the king of the hill. Well, actually, you know you're not. Let's fucking throw you out of a helicopter. We'll see how you feel. So, you know, that's I got a big kick out of that.
Stripping them away of what they feel, you know, stripping them away of their power, really, in a lot of ways, right? They're the big man on campus.
Yeah.
And now when they go into your world, it's like, well, I'm going to teach you a few things.
Right.
Now you become the student, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And a lot of people need that, especially ones that have driven so high to where their ego is inflated, and now you can just burst the bubble.
Yeah.
Right? And it makes them a better person in the long run.
That's the end game, right? It's like, we're not trying to scare the shit out of it. And they come out of it feeling strong.
Yep.
Because they're like, I'm capable of all this stuff. I just haven't put myself in that situation to test myself. So, yeah.
So, you've done a lot of different adventures. I've seen some videos, man, and I was kind of binge watching a lot of them. What has been the one that one is the most memorable, but also the most dangerous?
I think I was telling you a bit earlier before we started this podcast, but I was out in the Amazon recently filming my third season of my Man Eats Wild show, and we had permission. We were getting permission from this local native tribe to harvest this huge river monster deep in the Peruvian jungle, and they're very spiritual people, these guys, right? And talking about being put on show and tested, well, they tested me. Like, I was like, you know, this was me being humbled very quickly. Yeah. But basically, you know, very spiritual people, and so we went there, and I said, listen, guys, I want to harpoon this 400-pound fish. I heard they're great eating, really challenged. They said, listen, it's not. You don't have to ask us. You have to ask the gods. Like that, you know, we're just custodians of the land, but really, it's, you know, there's a spiritual process. And so they, you know, and there was more to it than that. It was a cleansing process, and basically this ritual that they wanted to do was a ritual that the young men that would turn into, the young boys that would turn into men would have to do it, and it was basically a rite of passage to go hunt on the land. So I was like, all right, cool. And my crew's sitting there, they're going, what the hell is this shit? Like, you know, I'm like, I don't know. So they got together with me and they're like, okay, you need to get poisoned by this highly venomous frog, and if you survive, you'll come out as not only being allowed to hunt.
What type of frog was it, you know?
I don't know the exact name of it. It's something like tree monkey frog or something monkey frog. You know, a lot of people just do it as a cleansing ceremony in low doses, and then these tribal people do it as like a full-on like experience.
Did you have like complete access to the frog, or did they like?
They catch the frog, and
then
what they do is they stress it a little bit, and it emits like a defense venom.
Yeah.
Then they scrape the frog, and then what they do is they burn holes in you, so it hits your bloodstream straight away.
Oh wow.
And then you know what the scary thing about it is like it's not controlled. Like, you know, it's not like you're going, oh, here's 250 milligrams of this shit. Yeah. Boom. They're just like okay, yeah, no, mate. How do you guys know how much am I getting right now? Like, so yeah, they did the thing, and man, I was really sick. Like it was.
You said that your throat closed up, your eyes started to water, you started to almost black out, right?
Yeah.
Was there anything else that you feel like? Did you feel like you were on the verge of death?
I thought I was gonna die, man. I'm not gonna lie. Like I was, you know, when we all have this inside us, but you try not to panic, and you talk to yourself and self-talk and breathe and all that shit. I was struggling to keep that in check. I'm like, all right, when do I start panicking? I shouldn't start panicking, but you know, my throat completely closed, couldn't breathe. My eyes felt like I was literally on fire. My ears were making ringing sounds like bing, and people were talking I couldn't hear. It was just like, and I was like, all right, I'm fucked. Then I started shitting my pants, vomiting, you know, cold shivers. Like I was just a mess. And we had a medic. We have insurances for the show, so we have to, by law, have a medic there. And he's like,
yeah, cut it.
He's like, you're done. Let's fucking get out of here. Yeah. But it was too late. So
you got all the people there at that point.
Yeah, and yeah, that's the sickest I've ever felt in my life.
I saw them like dousing you with water and stuff too as well.
Dude, that was crazy. Like, so that was. I'm glad you mentioned that because I don't know what happened, I'm literally getting goosebumps thinking about it. These people, like, I was so sick, and then they did this ritual, and the guys like going and doing all this crazy stuff, and they're singing all these chants, and it was just literally fresh water. But whatever they did, like they were rubbing my ears and doing all this stuff, and I just snapped out of it. I was like, what the hell? Like, how the fuck did that just happen? It was really bizarre, man. Like, I still can't work out how they did that. But
at any point after you started to feel better, was there like a euphoric feeling, like you just came out of a difficult situation, just like the guys that you brought in those adventures?
Yep.
Because every time I go through, I've gone through this in fights where I literally thought I was gonna die inside the cage. And then afterwards, even though it sucked while I was going through it, afterwards I was like, man, I'm able to cope with anything. You know, I'm pretty sure that's one thing that you brought or you got out of the situation.
Yeah, I was definitely relieved it was over. I was like, whew, that was crazy. But yeah, I think that's, you know, you train hard for a fight, you went through it, like there's like that. For me, I was just kind of like, thank God that's over. And I was proud that I did it. Like I was like, because I'm not gonna lie, I was kind of like, I don't know if I want to be doing this, but you know, there's a lot of people, you know, depending on you, and you know, but yeah, I was very proud that I did it.
Well, what? Let's think about this. What lesson did you learn from that?
It was a spiritual thing for me, man. You know what I learned? I learned that, you know, I just felt like these people really appreciated everything like in the natural world around them. We just go to a shop to buy meat and we don't even think about that animal dying or whatever. These people are like, you want to get the fish, you want to take stuff from the land, you need to go through this first. So there was a sacrifice that had to be made and an appreciation, right? That's what I was really impressed by. I was like, wow, you know, we take a lot of stuff for granted, but these people don't. And it was a very cool experience.
So with that being said, like, would you say you would want to go through it again?
No way. There is no way I would do that shit again. No. Not because only because now I know what it's a bit like. Yeah. I know what
you're into.
And I don't know if you'd always come out good. I just don't.
It was a 50-50 chance. 100%. Like I would be like, you know what? Because now, I mean, listen, the things that you're doing is adventurous, to say the least. You're jumping out of airplanes now. You're gonna be doing a lot of crazy stuff, right? And a lot of people wouldn't be doing the things that you're doing. Yeah. But you're living life to the fullest. And I think a lot of people miss that opportunity. Yeah. And even though you got poisoned by one of the most deadliest frogs in the world, you came out of that, and now you have a story to tell. Right. Do you have kids?
No. Soon. We're practicing.
Congratulations. Well, hopefully soon.
It's fun right now.
Right? you have a story to tell your kids, your grandkids down the line, and your grandkids are gonna be, man, my granddad did a lot.
Of course,
you know what I'm saying? And I think that people that don't put themselves in that position, they never truly live.
I agree with you.
Right? So now, what do you think is something that you want to accomplish? Since you've done a lot, what are some of the major goals that you want to accomplish with the show, with other things in the works?
Oh, I totally agree with you, man. Like, you're so bang on with it. I think I want to inspire people on a bigger level to get out of their comfort zone, man, and live. Like, that's what it's about, right? You know, my messaging's deep, and it's more than just, you know, getting out there and having fun. And I think my lifelong goal right now is to tell as many people that message and inspire people like you do with training. You know, sometimes people just need someone to, like, you know, show them or you know, inspire them in a way, like, and that's kind of where I'm at. I'm just I'm enjoying what I'm doing, but I'm more enjoying showing the world, like, hey, listen, it doesn't have to be this way. You can push the limits in life and
For sure.
and get out of your comfort zone.
Were you always like that as a kid?
Oh, definitely, man.
Yeah.
I don't have brothers or sisters. I mean, I have half brother and a half sister, but they didn't come till later in my life. So I was a single kid. You get bored and you're like, what else am I don't have anyone to play with. I'm just gonna go catch a lizard or do it or whatever. I was like always like ADD, maximum hyper, like, you know,
Ready to go, right?
Like a high energy kid. Yeah.
When's the first time you went hunting?
I remember shooting, and I probably shouldn't say this on camera. I remember like shooting birds when I was like really young. My grandpa was crazy, ex-war guy from World War II. But we had a lot of guns in the garage, and I would like take him and shoot in the, you know, on the farm.
Yeah.
And I remember like shooting cans, and then I'd be like, I wonder if I could shoot a bird.
Yeah.
And it's probably not the coolest thing to do, but when you're 5, you don't know any better.
Oh, you were 5?
Oh yeah, I was like 5 years old. Yeah.
Okay.
So, and then I would shoot rabbits, and then, you know, sort of, and I was interested in like trying to cook them, and like saying my grandpa, like, can we cook this or whatever? So I was doing it like because that's what you did on the land. That was your thing. It's like, you know, city kids do city stuff, country kids do country stuff. It's just like, so I remember getting a like fascination for it at a really young age. And then in my teens and mid-20s, I was like obsessed. You know, how can I go to the deepest, darkest jungle? Or how do I push the limits and do stuff that's like out of this world? But now it's just gone a bit crazy and on another level.
What was the most terrifying hunt that you ever been on?
It wasn't hunt. The most terrifying, the most terrifying hunt, I'll give you that one. The most terrifying thing was in the water. The most terrifying hunt was in South Africa 2 years ago. I was hunting Cape buffalo. Okay. They nickname them the Black Death, or Widowmaker, because they kill more people almost than any other animal in Africa. Damn. They kill lions. They're crazy, dude. You see these things that you.
How big are they?
They're like 2,500 pounds. Yeah.
Damn.
And they are psycho, dude. Like they are like you know, anything that can kill a lion, you got my respect.
Yeah, no, for sure.
And then I was like, all right, I want to kill one with a bow and arrow. Nice. The guy's like, no one's ever done that here. So I took this crazy Dutch guy who was like literally insane, and he's like, I'll go with you. I was like, all right, let's go. I shot one of them. That didn't work out. We got charged. I was up a tree. This thing was like mangling this tiny little tree that I was in. Chased out by lions another time. There's more to that story, which which I won't go into now. I witnessed someone's finger get bitten off and eaten.
They bit it off and then ate the finger, or ate the person?
We caught these poachers. So they caught these poachers while we were on a hunt. Yeah. And they beat the shit out of these guys, right? Because they're trying to kill rhinos. Sure, yeah. And these guys are paid to protect these rhino populations.
Yeah, I know they have them in Africa too.
Yeah, anti-poaching unit. These guys will kill you if you get caught. I think by law they're even legally allowed to do it. Anyway, they beat the shit out of these two guys, just to give you an idea how dangerous this area is. And one of the poachers, like, I said to the guys, listen, we're filming a TV show here. We can't witness shit like this. Like, this is a professional outfit here. Sure. We can't see it. So he's like, all right, let's get rid of him. We're going down a different rabbit hole now, but I'll tell you the story.
We're in it now. Let's go.
So the guys grabbed these two dudes, and they're walking these guys around like to kick them out, to like, you know, we beat the shit out of you. You can't poach here. Like, fuck off. Yeah. And as he's grabbing the guy, this fucking poacher grabs the guy's finger and just goes and bites the end of his finger off, like that much of it, just clean off, like,
Damn.
And we're like, what the fuck? This guy just bit his finger off? My camera guy is like freaking out, like he's like in tears almost, right? And the anti-poacher guys are all fucked up, like, because they bashed him up. He sticks his mouth out, the tongue in it, and he just goes and swallows it.
Swallows his finger.
And we're like, I was like, okay, we need to get the fuck out of this place.
This is a different level of crazy, yeah.
So there's like all this crazy stuff happening.
Holy shit.
And then we ended up shooting a buffalo, and my guy's like, can we go
finish
home
it
now?
off, you know? Yeah. Gotta finish it off.
Yeah, I was like, okay, we can go now, guys. But that was probably the most dangerous in a lot of different ways. Like, the hunt was dangerous. It was full of like crazy people, and but yeah, that was a pretty crazy
When
one.
you go through these, like, what's going through your mind?
I kind of love the chaos.
Yeah.
But then at the same time, you know, obviously when it gets crazy like that, it's not. But I'm just, I mean, a lot of the times just thinking, what am I doing? Like, what is this lifestyle that I'm living?
Yeah.
You know, it's a bit crazy, but
I could see you, like, you know, going through a situation like that consistently, you become a little bit more calloused, you know, and you go, oh, this is another day walking the park, you know.
That's
like,
true.
A lot of people go, well, how does it feel like when you're fighting in a cage? When you do it consistently, it always is dangerous, and we all know the implications and the risk that you're taking. And there's fear there still, but the fear is a little bit more managed.
Yeah.
You become a little bit more structured and stable with the approach that you're taking. When, like, because you went to, how many different places have you gone?
I think I've filmed in, I've definitely been, I think we clocked at like 60, 65 countries now.
Damn.
Yeah, I've done over 60, that's for sure.
And what was the most dangerous spots that you could imagine?
I get really scared with, or when I say, I do get scared actually, that's the truth, I get scared. I get scared the most in water. Water's scary, man.
Murky water?
Or
ocean or anything?
Sharky water.
Oh yeah.
Ocean, big.
Man, I'm like that too, man. And
Yeah,
I grew up in South Florida.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's a different world. That's their world. We're
That's
stepping
their
into
world.
that.
Yeah, you're vulnerable, right? It's like the most vulnerability.
For sure.
You know, I don't have a gun. I don't have a bow. I don't have a knife. I can't run up a tree. I can't. There's no. I'm like sitting duck.
You're not meant to swim.
Right.
we're not fish.
Yeah.
When did you encounter anything crocodile, like anaconda, like anything like that?
In the well, I mean, I've killed a lot of big crocodiles.
Did you really?
Yeah, I have. Yeah. I killed one.
I feel like you have to do that in Australia. I feel like
you can't do it in Australia.
You can't do it anymore?
No, man, you go to jail if you kill a crocodile.
Crocodile Dundee?
Yeah,
or, you know
I don't know, man. He got a pass.
Bro,
He must have got a green card.
So like, what I'm thinking is like, how do you go about doing that? Because crocodiles are more, because we got alligators here, you know, in Florida, and you're in Miami now. But it's like crocodiles are a little bit more aggressive. They're a little bit more ferocious, isn't it?
And much bigger.
Yeah.
Yeah, way bigger. Yeah, alligators are puppy dogs compared to a saltwater crocodile, man.
What is the difference? What are the major differences, you think?
Well, they're the same animal but different genus.
Yeah.
Same species, different genus. So it's like saying, you know, shark, but then you got great whites and you got lemon shark.
Yeah,
They're still sharks.
What I'm saying is like, does the alligator have more versatility? Like, are they more mobile?
They're smaller. Their mouths are way smaller.
Yeah.
They're more kind of like a rounded.
Yes, I know that.
Like a crocodile can get up to 20 foot long, man. You know, like it can eat a cow in one sitting, no problem. Whereas an alligator is probably eating a chicken, or you know, don't get me wrong. Alligators can be vicious and like they will eat someone if there's, but they don't normally take on more than they can handle. Whereas a crocodile, there's nothing they won't have a go at, man. Those animals are scary because the thing is, like with animals, you got to know like everything has its thing. Like whereas A lion, even I've been in front of lions many times. You can scare a lion. You can play mind games and scare a lion, and they won't mess with you, right? Crocodile will not.
They don't care.
There's no off switch.
Wow.
It sees you as food. That's it. You're fucking dinner. Damn. And that's all they think about. Whereas a lion, if you're like, "Wah!" and you go at it, they'll be like, "Oh shit, what's this thing?"
Yeah, it's crazy.
This thing might be dangerous. Like, I might not fuck with it.
Yeah.
With a crocodile, I'll be like, "All right, yeah, come on, let's go. I'm gonna eat you." Like that's it. So it's like, and I feel like sharks are like that too. You know, whereas like a bear, you can scare off with strategy.
I've seen that, yeah, and you could play dead and stuff like that too.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's those games don't exist with a crocodile. But yeah, man.
What so we were talking about, you said there was another portion of when you did these adventures in the water. What was the most scariest thing in the water?
Yeah, that one was that was probably the most. I'm gonna be honest with you. I didn't jump in the water for a year after that. I was completely
fresh water or salt water?
Salt water. Yeah. So I was in New Zealand, and we weren't filming the show. I was just having fun. And there's a spot, there's an area in the southern part of New Zealand called Bluff. There's another island just off that called Stewart Island. There's like a channel there where great whites breed. You know, a certain time of year, I can't remember exactly when it is. I think it's summer, like their summer, which is November, our winter. Anyway, it's also some of the best spots in the world for rock lobster and abalone. Because I love food, I was like, hell yeah, let's go and get some lobster. Yeah. So I'm swimming there, me and another buddy of mine who's probably crazier than me, and he's like, we'll separate so we can get more stuff. And I was like, all right, cool. He's like, I'll go down there, you go down here. I was like, cool. So I jump off the boat, and I got my bag, and I'm starting to get, you know, all these abalones, and I've got, you know, 2 or 3 nice sized lobsters in my net. And it was a sunny day, and I remember I was like, took a breath down, and I'm on the bottom, probably like 25 feet down, maybe 30 foot, 25, whatever. And then I just see the sun block out, like it was sunny, and then it was like a shadow, like poof. And I was like, what the fuck's that? And I look up, and there's nothing there, and I was like, that was weird, because I could see the sun block. As I'm coming back up, I've got GoPro footage on my because I had a GoPro on. This like 18-foot great white shark just comes straight past me, and then I was like, oh shit. And then I turn around, and there's another one there. There's 2 of them just circling around me, like ready. And I got out of the water, and I was like, I just froze, dude. I actually just froze. I was like, I couldn't even talk. I was like, the boat was down there, the guys, you know, like a Zodiac, and I was trying to like go like, fuck, help me. But then I was like, if I scream, is that gonna attack me? It was bad.
How long ago was this?
Like 7 years ago.
7 years. How old are you now?
I'm 39. 40 in July,
Young 30s, right?
Yeah, so I was, that's scared the shit out of me, dude.
Sure.
Yeah.
Probably first time you've been in that position, obviously.
Yeah, first and last, I hope. I don't want to do that shit again.
Yeah, I mean, because there's nothing you can do at that point, you know?
Especially when the boat's 300 yards away. I'm like, come and get me. And my friend's like, it's like, oh, you got something?
Did you swim with any knives or no? You don't.
I've got a knife, but there's kind of,
what you gonna do?
Nothing.
Then you become like one of those guys in Jaws, and you try to like stab him in the eye or some shit like that.
I know.
Doesn't work though.
I mean,
it might. I don't know.
I would definitely have a go.
You're gonna try.
But I think with those guys, you don't know. Like, I think from my experience and my knowledge about those sharks, it's when you don't see them, that's when shit happens. 90% of the time when guys see the shark, it's not going to happen. Because they're ambush predators, right? So they won't look, they'll be like, they'll come from below, and they'll just be like, bang, and you just don't know what happened, you know?
So they don't really like to fight then?
They don't. They're fully ambush predators. So they'll come and look at you maybe once, and then you won't see them.
They're sneaking you. They're sneaking you like in the club.
It's like in the club, yeah. It's like someone
with a fair fight.
It's that guy. They're that guy.
Pussies.
So yeah, man.
That's crazy, man. I know that you catch these things, right? And then you make like crazy dishes out of them, right? And I know you've done this with indigenous tribes. You've helped a lot of people too as well. So it's not just all about the adventure. It's not just all about hunting and all that. You do help people.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm glad to announce that I recently partnered with Merrick Health. Now, Merrick is an online health clinic that specializes in human optimization and wellness. Now, as an athlete, coach, and father that runs multiple businesses, things can get a little hectic, pushed to the side, and my health did start to decline. Now, I was at a point where I started to feel lethargic, tired all the time, not recovering from workouts, and that's a problem when you're trying to elevate and get the job done. I know I needed a change. I know I needed to find out what was completely going on from the inside out at a deeper level. Now, as far as my athletes go, I make it a requirement to get their lab work done before any training camp starts. So it was my time to do it for myself, because if I can't do it for myself, I can't help others. So the importance of understanding where your levels are and what needs to be improved will drastically increase not only your recoverability, but your quality of life. Now, I could have partnered with anyone, and trust me, they all came up, but I decided to go with Merrick because not only were they professional, but they were meticulous on their approach to getting the information necessary to me for a quality intervention that will provide me with better health overall. Now, truthfully, if you're feeling run down, experiencing brain fog like myself, having trouble sleeping at night, or just simply not recovering from your workouts, getting an in-depth understanding of your blood work is highly recommended. So you can now purchase your labs and a complete analysis review, which will provide you with a complete breakdown of all of your levels with a qualified code. Along with that, you'll get over-the-counter options and a potential prescription treatment recommendation. Just click the link in the description and use the discount code Daru at your checkout to save 10% on your first lab order. All right, let's get back to the video.
What is one of the most, I guess accomplishing, things that you've done, I guess from a man to man type of thing, like helping another individual, right? Yeah. What are the things that you could say there?
We did a really cool one in Zimbabwe about 5 years ago. There was a crocodile out there that was that had eaten, or had killed people, and it was like destroying all the livestock, which is very important for these people. That's their way of living, cattle and like any other rancher. So we got called out, and we had friends that were in a production company then, like, listen, we got a really cool story. There's a killer crocodile that's killing people, it's killing livestock. Do you think you'd come and help? And I was like, sure. So we went to this village in Lake Kariba in Zimbabwe. It was tough for them. They had been through almost like a civil war situation with that Mugabe president. So the people had seen some shit. We went in there looking for this crocodile that had killed kids, like little kids that had been going to take fresh water from these areas. So I was pretty pumped about it, man. I was like, all right, I felt like a duty, like I better, sort of do something here. So we went there and looked for this crocodile, and then I ended up killing it, and like the whole village came out, and they were like putting me up on their shoulders, and I was like, I felt really good about it, man. We actually ate it, which I kind of, when I think back, is a bit weird because it ate people and then we ate it.
A little cannibalism.
Cannibal, I don't know. But,
I was going to ask you, how does crocodile?
Oh, it's amazing. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, dude, it's like one of my favorite.
Really?
Yeah.
Is it gamey or is it?
Not really.
No?
I mean, the old ones probably aren't as nice as the younger ones, but like that one there he was a battle axe, he'd been around for a bit, but young, sweet, kind of small gators.
Maybe all the things that he's eating.
Maybe.
That's not a joke. That's like serious.
No, for sure. Well, that's why we were talking about food before. Yeah. The reason why we're all getting sick from food is not because of the food, it's because what the food is eating. You know what I mean? Well, like pesticides, antibiotics, hormones, all this shit that we're pumping into our food now is what's making us sick. The cows are fine. We've been eating cows for centuries, right?
That's how we're raising them.
It's how we're raising them. It's the shit we're pumping into them, which essentially we're eating.
Sure.
So, you know, and that's another big message about what I'm talking about. I don't know, how do you preach nutrition in your obviously you must be, right?
I mean, it's a cornerstone to every high level performer.
Right.
And just health in general.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And I always say, you know, your gut is your second brain, and people say that all the time. I think, you know, if you can't digest food properly and you're not putting in the right amount of fuel, then you're not gonna be able to perform well, right? And, you know, when it comes down to longevity, wellness, health overall, we need to put in solid food sources, right? The biggest thing that I see in what you do is that you're taking the risk to really find the best quality foods to put into your own body, to put in other people's bodies. And this is like a journey for you, right? Let me get the top 5 best meals that you've created from the hunt.
There's been some weird shit, man. Like the best ones for me are the ones that I think are gonna taste gross.
Yeah.
And then I eat them and I'm like,
damn.
Maybe because my expectation is low, and then it's like, wow. Whereas, you know, sometimes we eat something that's not that great, and I'm like, it's not too bad, but actually it's probably a bit worse than it is. And that's normally just because of where we are. But I speared an electric eel in Colombia that I thought was going to taste like dog shit, and it was actually beautiful.
What did it taste like?
Have you had like unagi at the sushi?
Yeah.
It's like a teriyaki style eel they do at a lot of sushi
I think
restaurants.
I've had eel before, though.
Yeah, you would have had a different kind of eel, but same sort of premise. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Those things are crazy. Those things will, like, I went to go. So these electric eels have 850 volts running through it. Just to give you some context, your power point at home is 125, right? So it's 8 of those. Yeah, like they can kill you, man. There's enough power to kill a full-grown elephant.
Damn.
So these things are crazy, yeah. So we thought, oh, that's cool, that's dangerous, and they're edible, so let's go kill one of those and eat it. So that was pretty neat. But I've eaten all sorts of stuff, like weird shit, like, you know, bull's testicles, and I've eaten brains and all sorts of stuff. But yeah, that one was pretty cool. Yeah.
When you, I mean, you cook it right there, though, right? Are you bringing all the stuff to cook with and everything?
Sometimes I am, sometimes I'm not. It depends on what we're doing and how remote it is. I've got a new show coming out, which is basically nothing. Like, I don't have anything, I can't take anything, I can only fit what's in my bag, that's it.
Would you rather that?
It's challenging, man. Like, it depends where you are, you know? And it's hard to, like, you know, if you want to make like really refined gourmet food, you need ingredients, right? So it's very difficult.
Well, I was just thinking from a challenge for yourself. You know what I mean? Just being able to take nothing and make something out of it.
Yeah.
Right? Like the primal selves that we are, right? And taking it back to the past, bringing it to the present. And you really test yourself, not only obviously physically and what you got to do, but mentally, because now you have to, you know, figure out ways to make this thing work. Yeah. And make it taste good on top of that, right? So I think that would be one of the biggest accomplishments, that from your professional side, being a chef, being a wild man, you know, you're taking those two worlds and essentially making something out of nothing.
Yeah,
you know?
that's pretty much what it is. It's always a challenge when I don't know the area. Like, you know, sometimes I'm in the middle of nowhere and I'm like, I don't know what's good, or I don't know what is that. I don't even know what that is. Like, you know, so I'm like, that sounds good. Maybe that could work. Yeah. Next thing you know, I'm poisoned. But
man, we were talking before, and we're about to train now. This guy's crazy, by the way. Talk about the back incident. Your back. What happened?
Oh yeah, I've had. I don't know if you can see here, but I've had four knee reconstructions, shattered my patella. I fell off a cliff a few years back, and just not too long ago found out that I actually broke my back. But I've had a lot of injuries, dude. I'm sure, I mean, you're a fighter, dude. You know this well, but...
Well, the funny thing was you went to the doctor and you didn't even know. He goes, how long you broke your back? He's like, I didn't know I broke my back. What are you talking about?
You know? I got scans because I had sciatic like pain,
sciatic pain,
and I was like, oh, I must have a, what do you call it when there's bulge disc
Bulging
or
disc,
a herniated disc or
disc.
something. I was like, that must be, because I know a lot of people that have that.
Yeah, I got them, like 7 of them.
Yeah, I mean, I'd hate to see X-ray your body, but it's broken up.
It's all over the place.
But I'm similar, you know, like I said, I had 4 knee reconstructions. I've broken a lot of bones in my body. But this one was crazy. I fell off a cliff with an animal. I was fighting an animal, basically. And I went off this cliff. Luckily, my fall was broken by a pine tree, because I'd be dead if I wasn't. It was like 60-foot drop.
Damn.
And I just thought I had a sore back. You know, I was like, oh damn, this thing won't go away. You know, like 6 months, 8 months, like a year, and then finally, like, you know, I just got engaged. So I got a fiance, and she's like, she had enough. She's like, I can't listen to your shit any longer. Like, go to the doctor. I was like, all right, cool. So went to the spinal surgeon, and he's looking at the X-ray, and he's looking at me, and he's like, when were you going to tell me about, you know, when you broke your back? And I was like, I don't know what you're talking. I've never broken my back. And he's like, well, yeah, you have. Your L5 is split in 2, and your S1 is cracked. He's like, it's like that. And I was like, and he showed me, there's like this big line straight through it. And then there was all this like scar tissue and cartilage around it, and that is actually what was causing
that pain.
my pain, because
it's pinching on the nerve.
The scar tissue is what was causing it. And I was just like, wow. And he's like, yeah, no, you fractured your back pretty badly.
Did you get surgery?
No, I haven't got surgery now. I had stem cells, and I've been doing a bit of like core work and Pilates, and I don't know what what do you like? For me, I'm a naturalist, right? I'm a natural. I believe that you can work through almost anything. Obviously, you know, if you crack your skull open, that's going to be different.
Some things require, you know, surgical repair.
Yeah.
But
do you say you'd avoid it if you can?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Like if I could, I got my ACL reconstructed. If I didn't have to do that, I wouldn't.
Yeah.
Right? But because of the fact that I'm moving and I'm changing positions, and a lot of it is like lateral force and change of direction, right? Because of that shift and that change of direction, you tend to have either sublux or something along the lines of that, where you can cause further damage. So because of that, I had to get it fixed. And the recovery process is worse than usually the injury, right? And sometimes if you're not prepared for the surgery, it can be worse when you get the surgery done. So pre-surgery work is important too as well. Strengthen it up. Strengthen all the muscles that surround that issue that you're having. And then look at, like for you, it was trauma, right? So you really, the only way to stop that is not fall off a cliff. You know what I'm saying?
That's a good tip.
But right. But most people, it's due to compensation through faulty movement patterns or a postural issue or something along the lines of that. Wear and tear, doing shit wrong. You know, getting underneath the barbell and not squatting the proper way, not bracing effectively, and that's where you can cause issues. So like a lot of people will go to the pain source, a lot of doctors will too as well, unfortunately, and they don't look at the entire structure. They don't look at the root cause. And that's one of the biggest issues I see from a non-contact injury standpoint. You are putting yourself in danger all the time. So the biggest thing is like you have to armor your body no matter what. So you training, improving your strength, improving your cardiovascular endurance, right? Just making sure that you're capable of withstanding those forces that you put upon your body, because when you do fall, you better have an iron body to handle that, something to handle it, right? A lot of times, you know, with you eat well. You're obviously active, right? Active than way more people your age too as well. A lot of people now, they don't do anything. You see what I'm saying? They stop moving, and then that's when they start to die, right? And that goes with not only physical but mental, right? So I look at it like this: you're going to be doing a lot of crazy like movements, and like you're hunting and all this other stuff. You got to be ready and capable of doing that, but you got to train for it. So now doing movements like we're going to do today will allow you, even though they're general movements in the gym setting, they correlate over to what you're doing outside in the wilderness, right? And that goes hand in hand with any type of training that you do. It could be general, but the correlation and the transfer to what you do specifically will be there as long as you can understand and get it in the right context.
Love it.
So there's a lot more there. And then obviously, you know, the nutrition, the supplementation. Stem cells for me helped me out a lot.
You got them before?
I got them done because I had C4 through C7 herniations.
Wow.
And what ended up happening, I also have stenosis.
What's
right.
that?
So basically, it's like bone fragment that closes the hole where the nerve pokes out of, right? So when that hole closes, you get pinched nerves.
Yeah.
So I had pinched nerves going down my spine and then through my arms, so I couldn't feel my fingers.
Shit.
I couldn't draw my head back. I would get shooting pain, and you know, like nerve pain is different pain.
Oh,
man.
it's different.
But
yeah,
it just sucks, and it was constant. It wasn't like there was any relief. There wasn't like I could just put myself in a better position and I'd feel fine. Any position I was in, and this happened. This was going on for like 2 years.
Shit.
So I was like, you know what? I tried lidocaine shots, cortisone, everything,
all the
right?
things,
Decompression. They wanted to fuse my spine.
What do you think of that?
Terrible.
Terrible, right?
Especially for the C spine. Like and even into like my thoracic spine, you gotta have range of motion, especially for what I'm doing. You know? Fusing your spine, unless you are not doing anything active anymore, as opposed like from a high intensity standpoint. Obviously, I'm doing so many different movements. At a young age, if you're 50, I would say 45 and under, maybe even 50 and under, you don't want to do that.
Right.
You know, I'm not a doctor, but from a physical preparation coach, I've been doing this for 15 years.
Yeah.
And like, when somebody stops their ability to move in free motion and has better quality active range, they start to deteriorate.
Agreed.
And you can't move the way you want to move.
Right.
And then you start to compensate because your body, as people, we're master compensators.
Yep.
If something doesn't work, we'll find a way to make it work.
Right.
You know? But unfortunately, it could be detrimental. See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So now, you know, what I see with other people, like when I did the stem cells, I was like, man, this may not work. It may be a 50-50 chance. And it's expensive. And so you go, okay. But what do I have to lose at this point? You know? So I did it, and it took a while. It took about 2 months. I was like, man, I don't think
kick in.
I don't think it worked. You know, because then I was still going hard. Like I wasn't like stopping. That was my fault. You know, I should have been more mindful of that. But one morning I woke up and I'm like, man, I feel pretty good. Okay. And I slowly got into it. I'm like, oh no, I'm good. So I, you know, obviously doing jiu-jitsu still and still training consistently. I'm still weary of it. I'm still.
But you don't feel pain anymore?
No pain.
No nerve
Luckily,
damage.
God willing, you know, I would say, but you still have to be precautious. So what I have to do, strengthen up my neck, right? Stabilize my trunk, and just don't put yourself in those positions, or at least try not to. You know?
You know what I always do wrong is go too hard too quickly after an injury. Like
you're an extremist, man.
You know but it's dumb. It's like I look at it, I'm like, why did I? Like you've got to be patient. In my experience, and obviously you're way more experienced with training, but I've been training all my life, right? And I know, you know, you especially at 40, you're not the same dude as you were when you're 20. Like I can't just go and start bench pressing.
Not 40 yet.
What's that? I'm not
You're
40
not 40
yet.
yet.
Yeah. Okay, that's good. I like that. I'm still hanging on. But you know what I mean? Like after the back thing, I messed up a couple of times, so I was straight back in. I'm like, no. You got to slowly.
Well, with age comes wisdom.
Yeah.
You know, and you know that if you don't learn from your mistakes, then what are you doing? You know, you're just, at that point, you're just a dumbass. Literally, you are. Like, that's like a true definition of a dumbass, right? You got to learn from your mistakes. And, you know, you going through these difficult situations, you're better off from it. You survived, obviously, and now you're wiser from that. And you can pass down your wisdom to those in need, right? And do you have any I was gonna ask you, do you have any like interns or, you know, mentorees that you have?
Not like to do what I do, but like my camera guys are all pretty young dudes, and everyone around me seems to be, you know, younger in the way that, like especially with the filming side of it, and they're all like sometimes like, oh, let's do this, and I'm like, no, just wait a second, dude. Have a think about this before you do it. Like you got to be smart about what you're doing. Like you said, like, you know, even though I do crazy shit, I'm always thinking about what I do if this doesn't go to plan.
Sure.
Where's my exit here?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Like
you got a contingency plan for everything.
Yeah, and then I limit. Sometimes it's small, and but other times I'm like.
I think that's the key word there, awareness.
Awareness, yeah.
Because you have you still go through it, but now you're a little bit more mindful of the situation.
Right. Yeah.
And it's always the first time that isn't for me at least.
Yeah.
The first time you do something, it's not as you're not as fearful. It's not as scary because the unknown. Well, I guess the unknown can scare you, but once you go through it and you know how bad it is, like you said, you're not going to do the frog thing again.
No.
You know what I mean? Because but you were dumb enough to do it in the first place.
Yeah,
right?
because you don't know how bad it is.
But now wisdom kicks in, and you're like, no, I'm not doing that again.
And also the other thing is, I feel like when things go wrong, I didn't know that thing could go wrong. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's like you think I've worked it out. Like, these are all the things that could go wrong, and then something here happens. You're like, fuck.
Yep.
I didn't think about that.
Yep.
That was not something in my plan that could go wrong, and it happened.
I contribute that same concept. I put that in terms with the young coaches that come up, right? And they start and they get, they get their degree and they get their certification, and now they're starting to coach athletes. And it's like, that's great, man. You have a baseline understanding of all the things that you need to do to progress an individual, right?
Yeah.
But you haven't had time in the trenches to really deal with certain things that are out of your control.
Right.
People are gonna come into the training room, they're gonna have injuries, they're gonna have issues, they're gonna have stresses from outside sources.
Yeah.
And you go, well, how do I auto-regulate this?
Yeah.
How do I change it on the fly? How do I strategize based upon my circumstances and situations?
Yeah.
Same thing goes for when you're in the wild. You go, well, I've been through this before, so let me lay out all these things and put together a plan of action.
Yeah.
Right? And I reckon I said I reckon, that's Australian.
That is Australian. I'm proud of you, bro.
Yeah, I'm getting there. You stay a little bit longer, I might have the accent.
Yeah, you might start cussing more too.
Cunt, all that is.
Yes, the big words.
Quick story, real quick. So first time in Australia, I'm in Sydney, and I'm doing the seminar, and I was there for a full week. I was in Melbourne.
No.
And I love Melbourne too.
Yeah, Melbourne's all right.
Melbourne, it's all right.
No, it's our competitor.
Yeah.
So, it's like
I went from Melbourne to Sydney.
Sydney and Melbourne.
And I put it like this, and some Aussies are probably gonna be pissed about me saying this, but like Sydney, I compare it to like California.
Yeah.
It kind of reminds me of it. Beaches, right?
Yeah.
Melbourne is like New York.
Right. But dude, you nailed it. That's
right?
exactly what it is.
And I'll say this, like, people were great.
Yeah.
Fucking awesome, right? Very knowledgeable in strength and conditioning and all that. So like I'm going there and I'm like, there's a term I used, right, to put yourself in a good position to squat, right, and get underneath the bar and squat. And so I was like, all right, so I'm like, all right, you want to set your feet up, and you want to make sure that you're rooting, right? right? And they start fucking busting out laughing, like they don't know, you guys don't know what I'm talking about. But so I guess evidently rooting means something different, right? So they're like, ha ha. I'm like, what's the
That's
problem?
really fucking
I'm like,
funny.
What's the problem? And so rooting actually means, doing the dirty, man.
Having sex, but it's in a dirty way.
Dirty way.
Yeah,
right?
That's what it means in Australia.
So like I'm like, yeah, man, you root into the ground, and they're like, fucking laughing, and I go, oh man. So I know now not to say that in Australia.
Well,
right?
maybe you should say.
Maybe
more.
I should say it. Break the ice, man.
Yeah, that's funny.
But yeah, man. I and the good thing, like you've been able to go through. You said 65.
Over 60 countries,
That's
I think.
Yeah. I've done 15.
Yeah.
And everywhere I go, I learn something new.
Absolutely, man. That's the key to,
Do you think you've grown obviously you've grown as an individual by learning different cultures and things like that? I think everybody at one point in their life needs to travel, especially people in the U.S., man. We get stuck here and then that's it, man.
I tend to agree with you there.
Yeah.
And I think young people should get the hell out of their own hometowns as soon as they can, dude. Even if it's just like, the world is, we see things in one lens here, and Australia might see it in another lens. But, there's a lot to be learnt from the world, man, and seeing different food, the way even things operate, and just a way of life. Like it's like, I always learn. The biggest one for me is stress. I look at how stressed we are in America and how stressed we are in Western world to get this and get that, and then you go to places like Europe or like even some Asian countries and they don't give a fuck, man. No. They just want their kids, eat good food, sit in the sun, and I'm thinking, look at this guy. He's got nothing, like not a worry in the world.
They're healthier.
Healthy, he's probably gonna live to 100.
Yep.
And why is my life better than his? Well,
it's the blue zones, right? The blue zones where they have like the longest life expectancy.
That's
the most stress-free living.
And some of these people, like I got a Greek background. My parents are Greek, right? And we go to Greece all the time, the Greek islands. I'm actually getting married there. Nice. I even look at my grandparents. Like my grandpa died at 97.
Wow.
Right? He smoked 2 packets of cigarettes a day.
Wow.
Which is obviously unhealthy, right?
Yeah.
But I kind of bring it down to stress. These guys don't stress. Like, I feel like cancer's in your body, but until you stress that disease in your body out of there, like these people in the blue zones are drinking a couple of glasses of wine every day.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But they're sitting in the sun, they're eating clean food.
There's nothing stressful about their lives.
I don't know, man.
We put on stress more than anything.
Right.
We make stress happen.
But do you think society's molded us to feel like being in a stressful, like, you've got to have this, you've got to keep up with it?
Because of that, you got to keep up with the Joneses, right? You got to have all these different things, and you got to showcase, that you're great and you have power. And a lot of people, the pursuit of power, they end up deteriorating their body, deteriorating their mind, causing distraction and stress buildup. And stress is systemic, right? There is good stress for sure that you need to have to adapt to a certain stimulus, and then there's just an over amount. And I usually it's more stemming from emotional stress, right? And a lot of the emotional stress is going to come from your ego.
Yeah,
right? It's gonna come from your wanting to be better, right? Or feeling like you have to be better.
Yeah.
I mean, we all go through it, man.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And there's no issue with wanting to be good at whatever you do, wanting to be great at whatever you do. But there becomes an issue when you feel like you're not good enough.
Right.
Right? And so what I feel is that you have to look at always, one, the glass is half full, not half empty. And you should always look to strive for little wins, which increases your thought of value, that you're creating value for yourself, gives you confidence, and it's a less stressful environment that you're putting yourself in, because every day is progressive, and you have to enjoy the process.
Yeah.
If you don't like what you're doing, if you hate every day getting up, why the fuck are you doing it?
Right.
Honestly.
Yep.
And there is so many different ways to make a living out here.
Yeah.
You just gotta put yourself in the right position to do it.
I totally agree with you, man. I think that's some of the wisest shit that anyone should know is, like, enjoy the process and stop trying to, get to this straight away.
Yeah.
Everyone wants that shortcut and they're always disappointed. I even look at women these days sometimes. I feel sorry for them. There's this expectation of looking so beautiful and whatever, that they take shortcuts to get there. It's like fake this, fake that. It's like, wait a minute, if you just walked your ass into the gym and went through a bit of pain for half an hour a day or an hour a day, you would be beautiful.
And you would feel better too.
You know what I mean?
That's it. You're accomplishing something. You're putting yourself through a short bit of discomfort to get a real reward from it.
Yeah. And guys do it with money and stuff, I think. It's like they feel like they have to make all this, drive the nice car to attract people.
Yeah.
It's like, man, the simple things are going to make you feel pretty happy pretty quickly.
Well, you got to know your purpose.
Yeah.
You found your purpose a long time ago, right? And you're living your purpose each and every day, which gives you a sense of accomplishment.
Yeah.
And you feel like you're supposed to be here, like this is what I'm supposed to be doing here.
Yeah.
I was talking with my young guy here earlier, and I said, man, a lot of people, one, you have to have introspection. You got to know who you are, right? Once you know who you are, then you got to look at what talents did you naturally get, right? What is God-given? And then from there, you acquire more skills based off of the talent.
Right.
But then because you know your purpose, because you know every day that you wake up, you're making a change for not only yourself, but other people that depend on you. Now it becomes a higher level of purpose.
Right.
And there's a real reason for you to get up in the morning.
Totally,
you know
man.
what I mean?
Yeah, I agree, man. I think I look at like what I do and I think to myself, if the money wasn't there, would I still do it? And the answer is yes.
Yeah.
So
That's the biggest thing.
I don't give a shit if I wasn't getting paid right now. I'd still be doing the shit I'm doing because I love it, right?
And I want to talk to you about the show though, like, cause do you do any of like the creative and all that too as well, right? So how'd you get into that?
I fell into that, man. I didn't even want to be in TV. I had no interest in it. Just
you didn't have an Instagram until what?
A couple of years ago.
Right?
Yeah. I mean, I should have done that a long time ago. But that's me trying to, push against the
society.
But then there's a few things that made me think about, hey, you're sharing a story, you're making, inspiring people. So but I kind of just fell into it. As far as like I'm executive producer of my own show as well, which entails me organizing the storyboard and where I want to go and what I want to do and the narrative behind it. And even when we're editing, I've got a team of editors, but I'm always on top of it. I'm like, little things change, I'm like, don't put aggressive music there because it's not aggressive. This is a nice moment that should be lightened or whatever. So I have and I actually enjoy that part of it. That's the thing that I've kind of really started enjoying, is the storytelling part of everything, and really making sure that the right message is there, because sometimes people can misconstrue why are we doing this? You know what I mean? It's like people are like, oh, you're just going out to kill something. I'm like,
I was going to ask you get a lot of pushback from
It's not about that, man. Like like you sit in your car, you're sitting on a leather seat. That was an animal. So like, you want to be full, like, vegan, then you better stop sitting on leather couches. You better stop wearing leather shoes. You better stop using like certain chemicals that are tested on animals. Like, there's a lot of stuff in the world that
you better go all in.
You better go all in it, and I can tell you now, nobody goes all in. Even those vegans out there that talk the shit, they don't.
Oh man, you're gonna probably smell like shit.
Yeah, that's right. They will. And it's like, I don't know. I am very confident and comfortable in saying that we are on this planet as a predatorial species, just like a lion or a shark or anything. We're here as hunter-gatherers, right? So
survival.
Right. So the responsibility behind that is take only what you need and do it ethically. As far as if you just do that, I'm good with taking life for something. If I'm going to eat it, I'm going to share it with my tribe, my people. If I'm going to use it as a hide, if this is what the purpose is, then there's nothing wrong with that, in my opinion.
Love that, man. I'm gonna end it here because we got to train.
Let's do it.
Give me one more thing. I want you to tell them where they can find you. Social media stuff now that you have it.
Okay. I got one now.
And if you want, talk about the new thing that you got coming.
Yeah. So basically, guys, you can follow me on Man Eats Wild TV. That's my Instagram handle. Man Eats Wild on Facebook. We've just done a pretty big deal with a huge network. I can't talk about too much, but you can look forward to a really big deal next year. When is this going to come out, by the way?
Probably next week.
Next week? Yeah. All right. Well, you guys, you'll see it by the end of the year, but it's been a pleasure, man.
Oh, it's been awesome. I could see you having, I'm watching it from afar.
Yeah.
I want to be in it.
Yeah,
we'll definitely do something.
We're going to do a show.
Definitely.
We're going to definitely do a show.
I'm down 100%. Maybe we'll do a little workout in the woods or something.
Yeah, that could be cool.
Right?
Yeah,
right.
We should do that.
Find some logs, find some boulders.
Yeah, I've got to find a challenge for you that's hard enough.
Let's do it. I'm definitely down, man. 100%.
Yeah, I've told you we've taken UFC.
I saw Chuck and all those guys.
Yeah. So.
I'm ready, man. I'm ready.
Hell yeah.
Thanks a lot, man.
All right, man. I appreciate your time, brother.
Awesome. All right. See you guys next time.